All right, guys, so I thought on what is predicted to be the hottest day the UK has ever seen, it would be a good idea to see how much it actually costs to stay cool. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the most common methods, i.e. the desktop fans and portable air conditioners, to see how much they really cost to run. Because when I tell people that I've got portable air conditioners, it's normally met by a suck of the teeth about how expensive they must be to run. So I thought this video would be helpful for anyone that is considering those, as in this heat, you know, sometimes the fan just doesn't cut it and you want to upgrade to an AC unit. So what we've got in front of me here is my smart meter, which I don't really use. I've just plugged in for the purpose of this video, and I've got a selection of fans. We've got one of the more premium fans. This is one that I've been using for a couple of years. Great fan, really quiet, it's ideal for using overnight. I don't know why I've done a close-up there, probably to show you the brand, but it's absolutely filthy. It needs a really good clean, so maybe that will impact the efficiency slightly in this video. You've got your bog standard desktop fan. You guys have seen these, like 1 or 2 speed, that's your option. It will go left to right whilst clicking all night long and make a horrible buzzing noise, but they are super cheap, like £10–15. We've then got a pedestal version of the more premium fan, and I'll show you these on Amazon in a moment, and I use this one in the gym. Really good fan. And finally, we have a AC unit or a portable air conditioner, and you guys have probably seen these in all of the local sheds, in home-based, B&Q and stuff like that. Normally sold for anywhere between kind of £150 to £300, and you have to get the right BTU rating for the size of the room. This example is a 1200 BTU, and I've got a second one in the living room, which I'll show you guys later on in the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn all of these on. Actually, just before I do, I'm just showing here that I've got basically a sock, that's what I'm going to call it, a sock around the window, which stops the warm air getting in, because sometimes people just stick the pipe out the window, but you've got this huge gap letting in this, well, what is close to 40 degrees air at the moment. So this helps make sure this works as efficiently as possible. You're not trying to cool the room whilst also letting hot air in at the same time. So let's get an idea of what we're using at the moment. We are using, as a baseline, my household is using 170 watts or 171 watts. So it's not using very much electricity at all. So the reason I want to get a baseline is so that when we turn on each one of these devices, we can see how much that goes up. So the first device that I'm going to turn on is the bog standard fan. So I'm sure all of you guys have got one of these kicking about. I very rarely use this. If I tried to use it in the office, it would be far too loud to have on and record at the same time. But you can see from an energy consumption perspective though, it uses a minimal amount, like probably, what's that, about 20 watts that's using. So what I'm going to do with all of these values is make a note of them, and then at the end of the video we're going to work out how much it's going to cost you per hour to use these, and also how much it will cost you to use this overnight. So if you had this on for 8 hours as a typical night, how much it would cost you if you wanted to run your fan all night, if you wanted to run an AC unit all night. So we can see the first basic fan used about 0.02 kilowatts, or 20 watts per hour roughly that is using. So next one, we've got the premium fan. Now this moves the air, it moves a lot more air, shall we say. These fans are much better, they're much more powerful, and also much quieter as well. So that was on half speed, that was on 6. This actually goes up to 12, and that is using about 7 or 8 watts, I think. So very small amount, and I've just put that up to 12 speed, and that's gone up to about 15 watts. Actually it's up to 20 watts now, so pretty much on par with the cheapo fan at full speed. But this is moving like 10 times the amount of air. So this is more efficient, and at these lower speeds, like 2 or 3, which is what I normally have it on overnight, it's dead quiet. You can basically not hear these fans. So if you do spend the extra money on these fans, they are well worth it. So in terms of energy consumption, these are very comparable, but this one, like I say, moves a lot more air and is a lot quieter. Now the next one we're going to look at is the pedestal version of the same fan. So I'm going to put that on 6 speed to start with, so half speed to start, and the energy consumption is basically the same, because it pretty much is exactly the same fan device. It's just on a pedestal instead, to give you a bit more flexibility with how you use it. Now if I put it up to 12 speed, you can see that's properly up to speed now, and energy consumption is the same, about 20 watts or about 0.02 kilowatts. So all very comparable between energy consumption between those 3 fans, but the main thing that you guys, I'm sure, are here for is to see how much energy these portable air conditioners use, because they do make a heck of a lot of noise. If any of you guys have ever used one, they are very noisy, and to be honest, I don't use them overnight. I use them to cool down the bedroom before I go to bed. Also, using them throughout the day isn't really a problem unless you're doing something sound sensitive like recording. So I've just put this on, and the settings you want to check is ensure that it's actually on cooling mode. You don't want it on the other modes if you're trying to test the energy consumption. And also make sure the swing's on, so the plastic bit on the top that diverts the air will swing up and down, and that the fan speed is set to max. And at the moment I've got the temperature on this set to 16 degrees, but it doesn't matter if it's set to 16, 20 or 25, as long as it's below the actual room temperature at the time, it's going to be on max consumption, and that's going to get the compressor to kick on, which is what we're looking for, because once the compressor comes on, that's when it's going to use the maximum amount of energy. And we can see this has jumped up substantially from around about 170 watts all the way up to basically 1 kilowatt. So we're using about 0.8 kilowatts, or about 800 watts per hour, which isn't as bad as it sounds, and I'll show you the calculations in a moment. Certainly I thought this was going to be higher when I did this test. I thought it was going to use a couple of kilowatts per hour like a electric heater would, but actually cooling seems to be slightly cheaper than heating at the moment based on this test. But maybe I'll do another test of electric heaters as we go into the colder months. So that overall, yeah, using about 0.8 kilowatts, which isn't too bad at all, I don't think, for when you've got those nights when it's just far too hot to sleep. Put one of these on for a couple of hours to bring that room temperature down, and that is normally enough to get you off to sleep, and then you can use one of these fans to keep you cool during the night. And you can see as soon as I turn off the AC, it's gone back down to 171 watts. But like I said, I have got this second air conditioner. This is in the lounge at the moment. This is also a 1200 BTU air conditioner. This is a different brand, actually works a lot better than the one I've got in my bedroom at the moment. So the control panel is quite similar, it's just different design really, but you're just making sure that it is on cool, so that it's actually using the most amount of energy possible. So that's what I'm going to change on the mode there. The other thing to ensure is the room temperature is below, that temperature is below room, which it is, and the speed is set to high on the fan. So it's over 30 degrees in that room at the moment. So I'll set that to 22. And if we come back to this, you can see this is actually using more energy. This is using about 1 kilowatt versus about 0.8 kilowatts. So it does use more energy, that air conditioner, but like I said, it does actually work better as well. But overall, still quite comparable. The difference between 800 watts and 1000 watts, or 0.8 kilowatts and 1 kilowatt, it's very, very comparable, and it's not going to be a huge difference in terms of cost, whichever one you run, if you're running it for a long period of time. So those are the devices we've got: the AC units, the premium pedestal, the cheap desktop fan, and the premium desktop fan. So what I'm going to do now is take you over to Excel, and we're going to see how these costs stack up. So this is the lovely spreadsheet I put together in preparation for this. So let's do this. So we've got the budget fan, the premium fan desktop, premium fan pedestal, and then two types of air conditioners, both at 1200 BTU. So at the moment we know the energy cost. If we go to Chrome here, and I can show you my tariff with Octopus Energy, is about 30p per kilowatt hour. So let's go and populate that into the column so you guys can see all of this, put that onto the correct color text. Right, so the budget fan, we knew that was using a tiny amount of energy. Now these things are super, super efficient, so leaving these on all night isn't going to cost you a penny. Now a fan is never going to cool a room, but it can actually cool you. It can cool your body, especially if you haven't got any clothes on or very little clothing. The act of the air passing over your body will convect heat away from the skin. So fans are very good at cooling you, although they will never cool a room. So putting a fan on to cool your bedroom down before you go to bed is pretty much pointless unless you're using it kind of as opposing windows to try and get airflow going through the bedroom. So the 1 hour cost for a fan is 1 penny, but I think that's rounded up. The actual 8 hour cost is around about 5p. So basically not free, but pretty much close to it. And that's the same for the premium fans as well. You know, they use a very small amount of energy and absolutely fine to run as long as you want. And they're great for keeping you cool. It's very hard to sleep when you've got an air conditioner on, unless you've got one of the wall units and the boxes outside making all the noise. If you've got an in-house portable AC unit, you're going to struggle to sleep. So I like to use the AC units to cool the bedroom and cool the house, then put the fans on for the rest of the night to help keep me cool and keep the air circulating around. So we've got the energy usage on these was slightly different, one using about 800 watts and one using about 1000 watts, or 0.8 kilowatt hours or 1 kilowatt hour. Now the cost to actually use these for an hour isn't actually too bad. You know, if you put this on for maybe 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, that's less than £1 to cool down your bedroom. And I'm sure many of you guys who are going to be trying to sleep tonight in ridiculously hot rooms will be thinking, do you know what, that's not a bad pound to spend. Now, obviously, you've got the upfront fee of probably £200 to £300 to get a decent one, but it's well worth it. And I've got the overnight cost here at 8 hours, and that comes to £2 and £2.40, but I rarely run them for 8 hours at a time. And also, if it isn't a crazy hot today, you know, like it is today with 40 degrees and we're trying to get the room down to maybe 20 degrees for sleeping, if you're only trying to bring it down from 25 to 20, that compressor won't be running constantly because the actual room will come down to temperature and then the AC unit will just keep it there. So the actual running costs will be less, where when you've got this big gap at the moment, the AC unit's probably never going to get it exactly to your target temperature. So the compressor is going to be pretty much on all the time. So these are your worst case costs. So hopefully you guys have found that useful. Like I say, the fans are really good. The actual fans that I use are Meaco fans, which is MEACO. I'll put links to these in both the description and the pinned top comment, so you guys can grab these on Amazon. These are available with Prime delivery, I think. So the standard one's about £105, which sounds a lot, but when you start using these overnight and it's super quiet, they are well worth it. And you've also got the pedestal version if you haven't got a side to put it on, and I think they're about 40-50 quid more, yeah, about 158 quid. Whereas if you want a let's say a portable air conditioner, I imagine they'll be on here for about 200 to 300. Yeah, you've got there one at 299, one at 369, one at 289 as well. So I'll chuck a couple of links to different air conditioners in that top comment and in the description as well. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate it. Hit that like button. If you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. And what I'm going to do now is pop up a video and show you guys how you can claim up to £1,650 from the government to help with the current energy crisis, and I recommend you guys give that a watch.